Hey there, it's Leanne with Outdoors and Country Living. Come along with me and let's make the best ever Concord grape juice. These are grapes that we grow right here on our homestead in Indiana. They are going to make the best tasting grape juice you have ever had. Look at that. I hope you stick around and see how I do this. Let's go. First of all, we have to wash and stem the grapes. I'm putting the grapes in a large stock pot. And then once I get all the grapes in there, we're going to add water to cover the grapes once I'm done stemming them. It's going to take me a little while. Make sure you check out the recipe in the description box underneath this video. There's a lot of information in there as well. So we're going to simmer our grapes until they're softened. And this is going to vary in time depending on how many grapes you're working. I have quite a few. So the grapes are nice and soft now. It took probably 20 minutes or so. Again, this is going to vary. So now we're going to strain this. So I have a wire mesh strainer over another large stock pot. And we're going to ladle some grapes in the strainer and let the juice fall through the strainer. It's going to capture the skins and the seeds in the strainer. I'm trying to do it the old school way for those of you that don't have any fancy gadgets if you're just starting out in this homesteading journey. But this is also very effective. So I never worry about breaking the grape seeds while they're cooking. They are tough little suckers, and I've never had any issues. So I just put a good amount in my strainer, and then I'm going to take my stainless steel spoon and just kind of mash it and work it around and get all of that liquid to drain into the pot below. This is definitely a labor of love, but I promise you it is well worth it. I had about 3/4 bushel of grapes that I'm working in this video, and it took me about 3.5 hours to stem them. So put on some good music and have some good company, because it's going to take you a little while. All right, now that we got all of our juice strained, you can strain it a second time at this point using a fine mesh strainer or cheesecloth. I am not going to strain it anymore. We like our grape juice with a little bit of grape flecks in it, so we're just going to leave it as is. You can add sugar to taste. Sugar is optional, but I would highly recommend it. About 1/4 to 1/2 cup per quart of grape juice is recommended according to a canning book. And then we're just going to stir that in to dissolve it. This grape juice is still warm, so if it has cooled a little bit more, you can heat it a little bit. Just make sure you don't bring it to a boil. Once the sugar is dissolved, we're going to start jarring it because I'm going to can this for the pantry. I'm using quart jars, but you could certainly use pint jars. I'm leaving 1/2 inch of headspace. Once we get them filled, then we'll wipe the jar rims. Look at that beautiful homemade grape juice. Ah, it's the best. So that's 1/2 inch of headspace. Some canning books will tell you 1/4 inch of headspace, but I like to do 1/2 inch. I'm a seasoned home canner. I've been canning for 28 years. Do what you feel comfortable with. Okay, I have my 7 quarts that are going to fit in my canner filled. I'm wiping the rims of the jars because this grape juice has a little sugar in it, so it's sticky. I'm using a damp washcloth to clean the rims. Once the rims are clean, then we will put on the lids or flats and the bands. So put on your lid and your band, tighten it fingertip tight. Don't overcrank it, just until you meet resistance. These jars will be processed in a water bath canner. Both pints and let me say that again, both pints and quart jars will process for 15 minutes. So in the water bath canner they go. I can fit 7 quart jars in my water bath canners. Down they go. Since the juice is still warm, I'm adding hot tap water. I want to add 1 to 2 inches of water over the tops of the jars. I've got my burner on high as I'm doing this. Once the water level is 1 to 2 inches over the jars, I'm going to put the canner lid on and wait for it to come to a rolling boil. It's at the rolling boil. Start your timer for 15 minutes, both for pint jars and quart jars. Once the time is up, turn your heat off and remove your canner lid. And you're going to let the jars sit in this water just like this for 10 minutes. By letting them rest for 10 minutes, it prevents siphoning. You'll be glad you did. So start your timer for 10 minutes and come back. After the 10 minutes, we're going to lift the jars out of the hot water. And we're going to put them on a towel to cool. I use a cutting board covered with towels to protect my countertops. I'm just going to get the jars out, let them sit here for 12 to 24 hours until they're completely cooled. And you just made and canned homemade Concord grape juice that's better than anything you've ever tasted. You can see where some of the grape pulp has risen to the top. That's normal if you don't do that second strain. We don't mind, just shake it in and it's extra yummy. So it's the next morning. I've removed the bands. I've cleaned the jars. I'm preparing them for storage. Yes, removing the bands is proper. Look in the description below. We'll tell you why. I've labeled them. And they're ready now to move to the pantry. That, folks, is how I make homemade grape juice here at Outdoors and Country Living. I hope you've enjoyed watching this process. Until next time, may God bless you. Take care.